Well, it's your boy. Hadn't been on a ride in a while. So even though it's about 95 degrees at 6 o'clock at night, I'm gonna go ahead and take one. I don't exactly know where this video is going to go to. I got a lot of stuff on my mind, a lot of different ways I can go. So I thought I would just get on the bike and ride. Talk about whatever comes up. I got the full face helmet on, so I have got to. You can see some stuff going on here. So let me get out of the way. This is not the way I was going to go. But it's the way I'm going to go now. So anyway, I guess ever since I have had this channel, I've been keeping you up to date on what's going on with Mom. If you're new and you just happen to stumble across this video, Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease probably about 8 years ago now. She's been living with us for about 7 years. And of course, if you know anything about Alzheimer's, you get it until you die. It doesn't get any better. There's no medicines that can do anything. They don't know of any treatments that can help. It's just you get it, you progressively get worse until you pretty much don't know nothing or nobody. And then your body just kind of forgets how to work and you pass away. Sometimes, like a friend of mine, his mom got it and she was living by herself, and within the period of about a year, she went from living with her by herself to a home to she was gone. So sometimes it progresses fast, and then sometimes it progresses slow. And you might have heard of people that pretty much were just in a bed, not knowing anyone for years and years until they finally passed away. It seems like that's the type your mom has got. There's 3 different stages. Of course, the beginning stage, the middle stage, and then of course the end stage. But the problem is, there is no time schedule on any of them. Some people progress rapidly for each stage. Some people will go through the beginning stage quickly, but then the middle stage takes years and years, and then sometimes they progress through the beginning and the middle stages, and then the end stage takes years and years. So there's no rhyme or reason. You can't say, okay, since I've got Alzheimer's, this is what's going to happen, because everyone, you know, it just affects people different. So that's kind of the background. So Mom's been with us, like I said, for about 7 years now. And we've noticed, you know, her short-term memory progressively getting worse, which of course is part of it. So we just repeat stuff, you know. And then we started noticing just, you know, more stuff being forgotten. You know, just stuff that's, you know, just not normal. You just know it's something's not right. An empty drink can in the fridge. You know, just stuff like that. Just stuff that you know is not, you know, it's just different. You notice that. And then in October of last year, she fell, and we called EMS. The EMS came and got her. They took her to the emergency room, and she was there for about 10 hours, I think. They finally got her up to the room on the orthopedic floor, and the first plan was they were going to have her in the hospital until the swelling went down, and then they were going to do surgery, and that would be it. Well, at this point, she was 88 years old, a host of medical problems, and the last time she had surgery, she had the reaction to the anesthesia or something, and she was literally like half crazy for like a week. And so by the time she got out of the hospital, she was already supposed to be in rehab. So she went to rehab about a week late. And of course, she could only be in rehab for so long because that's all Medicare will pay for. They called me the day before, she said, and they said she's not ready to go home, but Medicare won't pay anymore, and so we gotta release her. So I called the orthopedic surgeon, I called insurance, and I called the rehab, trying to figure out why, if they said that she's not ready to go home, how can they legally send her home by herself, you know, unsafely. But apparently they don't care about all that because they said she's got to go. So I went to get her the next day. She almost fell getting in the car, and then she did fall the next day. She busted her knee open that she just had replaced, and then that started a round of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and home health care nursing. Alright, so that's a little bit of the background. So now back to October. Like I said, they said that she was going to keep her in the hospital till the surgery went down, and then do till the swelling went down, and then do surgery, and then she would go to rehab. Well, in the meantime, they changed that to now we're going to send her to rehab until the swelling goes down, and then do surgery, and then send her back to rehab. So that's what they did. So they sent her to rehab, and then about every 3 weeks, she would go back to the doctors. The doctors would look at her, the doctors would x-ray, and first they put her in a soft cast, and then they put her in a hard cast, and then they put her in a walking boot. Well, all the time she's in the rehab, doing rehab with a walking boot on. And so I don't really think she was getting much rehabbing done. Every time we went, she was in the wheelchair, and she would just kind of pull herself around in the wheelchair. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But I am fighting with them because they told me that her bill was covered, and then after she got out, then they told me that her bill wasn't covered, and they presented her with a $12,000 bill. So that's a whole different story. Won't get into it. So then she's in the rehab. She's in rehab for 3 months, by the way. In December of last year, they told her that they took the final x-rays, everything looked good. So by this time, she's seen 3 different doctors. They've all taken x-rays, and they've all said that it looks good. All right, so then she gets out. They tell us to make an appointment with a primary care doctor, of course. So we do that. We get in to see the primary care doctor. She looks at it, says it looks good. She takes x-rays, says the x-rays look good, and sends her mom about her way. Well, then progressively, we see her foot, left foot, start turning outwards to like 8 o'clock or like 10 o'clock position. And then we see it kind of keeling over. So not only is she walking with her foot at the 8 o'clock position, she is now walking on the inside of her foot. So that goes on for about 2 months, I guess. Well, she's been complaining about pain the whole time, but we just figured it was, you know, from the brake still. And so, you know, don't really think anything about it. So then we go back to the primary care doctor. Primary care doctor says we need to look a little bit deeper. We need an MRI. So she gets an MRI. We get a call from the primary care after MRI comes back and says we referred you to the orthopedic surgeon. So in my mind, I'm thinking surely they're not going to do another surgery on an 88-year-old lady with a host of issues. But, you know, we'll see. So we talked to her orthopedic surgeon that has done both of her knees. Well, he doesn't do ankles. Is her ankle, the bone in her outside of her left foot is broken. He doesn't do ankles. But they got another guy who does, and he's highly recommended. So her knee doctor introduces her to her foot, her ankle orthopedic surgeon, and says, yeah, we need to set you up with an appointment and figure out something. So then the next week, we take her in to the orthopedic surgeon for to see what's going on. Well, pretty much the way he put it was either we do a surgery on this foot, or she's going to continue to walk on it. The skin's going to break open, it's going to get septic, and we're going to have to cut her foot off. So that was the choice. Either have the surgery or lose a foot. So we didn't have much of a choice. So scheduled the surgery. Surgery came. Surgery went. She did fine with the surgery. She did fine with anesthesia this time. They kept her for 3 nights so that Medicare will pay to go into rehab. She goes into rehab. This time, they tell me up front, a different rehab, of course. They tell me up front that she's only going to be able to be in for 20 nights because that's all Medicare will pay for. So we knew going in what the deal was. Well, the same thing. She goes in for the first 2 weeks. She still has the original bandaging and the stitches on. She goes back after 2 weeks, takes the stitches out. He says all the incisions look fine, she should be fine. Well, so then of course she goes back to rehab. So now they've got a week to do 3 weeks worth of rehab. Well, you know how that's going to go. So she didn't get much rehab at all those 3 weeks she was in, which wasn't the fault of the rehab. It was just either she was, she couldn't put any weight on it for the first 2 weeks, and then she was tired and it hurt the 3rd week, and so, she did all she could. But so anyway, so after 20 nights, I go to pick her up on a Thursday. I bring her home. She falls the next Tuesday. So now, call the EMS. EMS picks her up, checks her out. Of course, she doesn't want to go to the emergency room. She doesn't hurt. They just helped her up, got her in her chair. Everything was fine. Well, so ever since then, or actually ever since the rehab, she's been walking just like she was before she had the surgery. Her foot's cocked out at a 10 o'clock position. She's trying to walk with a walker, so every time she can't take a full step, because if she tries to take a step, then her foot kicks the walker because it's cocked out at a 10 o'clock position. And then when she tries to move her right foot, she kicks her left foot because now her heel is cocked over in her line of walk, her gait. And so, well, then that fall count started another round of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and home health care nursing. So they've been working with her, we've been working with her, and literally every time she picks up her foot and puts it down, it's at 10 o'clock. You can tell her, Mom, straighten your foot up. Just straighten her foot up. My brother even drew a arrow on her foot so she could keep it straight. So physically, she can turn her foot and keep it at 12 o'clock, and it doesn't hurt. But as soon as she picks it up and sets it down, it's back at 10 o'clock. So she just will not walk with her feet straight. And so now, since her foot's at 10 o'clock and she wants to kick her left heel with her right foot, she's got to where she has now got her right foot out at about a 2 o'clock position. Well, now it's not kicking her heel, but it's kicking her walker leg. And so then she took it a step further, and so now she's just doing little half steps, little shuffle half steps. So she doesn't kick the walker, or she doesn't kick her heel. So she's taking, what it boils down to is she's taking twice as many steps as she needs to take. But that's how it is. Alright? So anyway, that's a long, short story about her background. So I won't go into all the details, but what it's boiling down to is she's had someone with her, and that's fixing to end. And so now she's living on a little bit of Social Security, so she can't afford like a professional sitter that charges like 25 or 30 bucks an hour. She can't afford to have someone like that come in and sit with her 6 hours a day while we're at work. And because she's got just enough life savings in her savings account, for the past 3 times that I've tried to get her Medicaid, she doesn't qualify for Medicaid. So now I'm on the 4th round of trying to get her Medicaid, and we're trying to do everything we can do to get her Medicaid, because all the homes in this area either are private pay only, and if he's not checked into homes lately, any home that you would want to put someone in are like $10,000 to $12,000 a month. A month, 10 to 12,000 a month, I said, just in case the wind was blowing. And of course, that's not an option. So what it boils down to is we've got to first find a home that has Medicaid beds, which what that means is they have beds that Medicaid will help pay for. So some of them around here do have Medicaid beds available, or let me rephrase that. The ones that have Medicaid beds, but the beds are not available. The homes do have Medicaid beds, but they're full, is what it boils down to. So not only do we have to find a place that takes Medicaid, we have to find a place that actually has a bed available. So, I've been working with one because pretty much we started out with about a handful, and after calling each one and finding out she's not available, you know, we don't take Medicaid, or we don't have any beds, or this or that, I've narrowed it down to one. So I've been working with them. They've been great. They've done everything that they can do. I got a email the other day, or a text I meant, the other day, saying that she has been accepted by the home as soon as she gets Medicaid. So, the home will take her when she gets Medicaid. So now I know what you're thinking. What happens to the people that can't afford $10,000 or $12,000 a month, and for one reason or another can't get Medicaid? What do they do? Well, the answer to that is they pretty much just die at the house, because insurance doesn't care. There's no circumstances. All it is you either self-pay or you get Medicaid to pay. If those two options aren't options, the person just dies at the house, and then you deal with, you know, whoever you got to deal with. Well, I don't particularly want mom to pass away in the house. You know, I thought at the end of life it was supposed to be, I can't think of the word I'm thinking about, but you know, they were supposed to take care of you. They were supposed to do what they can. But again, insurance doesn't care. Medical doesn't care. All they care about is getting that money. So if you can't pay and Medicaid's not going to pay, sorry, there's nothing we can do. I've heard that about 4 times this past week. That's the option. Just let them die at the house. And hope they have a prepaid funeral or prepaid crematory or something like that. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject, but I just, like I said, I know it's been a while since I've done a video, and so I'm trying to, you know, like I said, sum all this up. I'm going to be mad if I get back and the wind has muffled everything that I've been saying for the last 20 minutes, but that might very well be the situation. But anyway, so that's the point we're at now. We've come to the conclusion. We had a family meeting last Saturday. We've come to the conclusion that, well, her primary care doctor said she cannot be by herself at all, ever. And so y'all need to start looking homes because it's going to take a while. That came from the primary care doctor. So that's what I started doing. like I said, I narrowed it down. We've got one that if she gets Medicaid, she's good to go. She'll be in that home the last day of this month, and then from now on until she passes, her 2 checks that she gets just get signed over to the home, and that's what they get. And in Medicaid, I guess, supplements. So that's where we are. Like I say, we found her a place pending Medicaid, what it boils down to. It sucks. We told her when we moved her in 7 years ago that as long as we could care for her the way that she needed to be cared for, we would do that. When the time came that we couldn't care for her anymore, then we'd have to do something else. That was from day one. Of course, no one wants to put their parents in a home, and no one wants to go in a home. But it's all about her safety. When she is not safe, it doesn't really matter what we want. It's about her safety. So that's the point that we are now. So anyway, that is the story. Once whatever happens, I will make a follow-up video. I'll let y'all know if Medicaid came through or Medicaid didn't come through. They would probably frown on me filming in the home. I was going to say I might be able to make a video of us actually moving her in, but they would probably frown on that. They would probably say something about HIPAA violations, because that seems to be everything in the medical world now is some kind of HIPAA violation. Even though it's my mom and she said it's okay, they would probably frown on that. So I probably won't be able to make a video of us moving her in, but I will make a follow-up video. I'll let you know. I'm hoping Monday I will hear something from DSS, Medicaid, and that way I'll know. But if you've worked with the government at all, you know that they're not in any hurry to do anything, so there's no telling when this will get straightened out. I guess one good thing is we're barely past the middle of the month, so even if it takes them a while, then we still got a little bit before the end of the month. They'd like to move them in on the last day of the month, and then the family pays for that one day, and then the next day Medicare kicks in. So that's the plan as of right now. So once again, everything is pending Medicaid. I will make a video whenever I hear something. Might be Monday, might be the week after that, might be next month. But I will make a follow-up video and let y'all know. If you're praying the pipe, I would appreciate all the prayers that I can get for us, the family, for her pain, and for her mental, stuff that's going on. If you've ever dealt with someone that has Alzheimer's, you know it sucks. It sucks for the person because for a while there they know they're going crazy. At the end, of course, they don't, but for a while there they know they're going crazy. It's hard on the family to see the person going down, falling, cracking ribs, breaking ankles, you name it. So it sucks all the way around. It's not an easy thing, but again, it's, you know, she can't be by herself at the house, and she can't afford to have someone sit with her. And at 88, all of her friends are her age, so they wouldn't be any help anyway. So that's where we are. So I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to let the video run. Y'all enjoy this ride. As always, like, share, comment, do all the stuff that you do on the good old YouTube. So, for now, like I say on my TikTok channel, same bat time, same bat channel. Later. Double yellow line past there. That's why when you're on a motorcycle, you always got to watch out for idiots. Because people can do what they want to do. Poke holes in the house. I wish they would have been back there about a quarter mile. This turn has always got gravel. Got to watch out. End up over there in the ditch somewhere. Here. What up, dog? What up, dog? That's my dog right there. Not really. But it could be. Soybeans there and corn over there. Just back a little way, you saw that solar panel field. I don't know what they call them, solar fields or what they call them, but they seem like they're taking over. I guess instead of the farmers having to worry about farming land, they just lease it out to whoever and they're gonna get that money. You don't have to do no work. I can't say as I blame them. I hear that they're not making land anymore, so I guess if you got some, you got to kind of do the best thing you can with it. Once again, we've made a successful journey. I didn't have to layer down, but that's always a good thing. But nah, it's been it was actually a good ride. I thought it was going to be hotter than what it was, because it was supposed to be like 105 today with the index. So I thought it'd be hotter, but it wasn't too bad. For, like I said, it's like 6:30 at night. But like my brother says, you never seen a motorcycle outside of a psychiatrist's office. I had to get some wind therapy. I had to get out there and get my mind right. If you're on TikTok, I'll be on TikTok 5:30 in the mornings coloring, trying to get my mind right before I go to work, trying to do that adult coloring thing. If you're on TikTok, look me up as Tiny, and then the letter Y, and then Poppy, the Hispanic spelling, P-A-P-I. So Tiny, Y, Poppy, P-A-P-I, and then a red X. You can't miss it. It's got my picture with Poppy. Can't miss it. You know it's me. So once again, we're here. Another good ride. And be looking for this video later. Remember, until next ride, keep the rubber side down, be blessed, and peace.